Welcome back to the Human Resources Outsourcing Sales University, 38 for 38, Part 2. Lesson 14. You've heard the old line that the ABCs of selling are always be closing. Well, let me tell you, that's not the ABCs of selling PEO or HR outsourcing. The ABCs of selling PEO or HR outsourcing are the authentic business conversation. Those are your ABCs, the authentic business conversation. And you have to have authentic rapport and trust if you're going to have that conversation and have an authentic relationship with your clients. Lesson 15, build the business case. The business case is built by asking effective questions to be able to understand what's going on in their organization, to be able to find out what their needs are, what their goals are, what their wants are, and also what their issues and their costs are. Lesson 16, do not rush the discovery process. Take the time. Meet with everybody that's a stakeholder in this organization, that's a decision maker in the organization, but take your time. Do not rush discovery. Lesson 17. So many times a salesperson finds an issue with a client. Client tells them that they've got a problem or an issue or a want or a need, and they immediately start selling to it. All right, I call it death by 1,000 paper cuts selling. You don't want to be the type of salesperson that sells by death by 1,000 paper cuts. All right, selling at every issue. You want to resist the urge to sell, period. Remember what I said in the very first one or second one? If you act like every other salesperson, expect to be treated like every other salesperson. Once you've built the business case, then, okay, by asking effective questions, then you can use the 5-statement strategy to restate those problems and give a little brief solution. Because when they've put everything out on the table and you haven't sold them, they're going to say, wow, I didn't realize we had that many problems. How can you help us? Wouldn't it be better if they were asking you how you could help them instead of you throwing a whole bunch of stuff out and hoping that it sticks? Stop death by 1,000 paper cut selling. Lesson 18, ask for the proposal. Once you've built the business case, once you've completed all the relevant discovery questions, all right? And you still may have some, but don't be closing too early. Don't be going to proposal too early. Salespeople rushing that process because they think that if they don't, they're not going to get any more time with the prospect. Prospects make time for people that they respect and that they think can help them, not pushy salespeople. So just want to make sure when you find out, when you do that 5-statement strategy, just say, does all of this make business sense that we've just talked about? Everything that you're going through and how we can help you. Does that make business sense? Well, then the question is does it make financial sense? And the only way we can determine that is by providing you with a proposal. Would you like to continue this conversation? See, you're not painting them into a corner. It's not any big deal. You're just asking a question and it's just giving them the power and the opportunity to make a choice. Lesson 19, ask for their time frame. Really very simple. What's your time frame for wanting a solution? Or you mentioned that your health insurance renews in July. Is that the time frame that you want to work under? Does that work for you? However you want to do it. Okay, but most importantly is you've got to walk out, you got to finish the discovery process. At some point in time, you got to ask about time frame. Lesson 20, client agrees they want to see a proposal. That's when you want to give them a list of all the documents that you need. Census, HR stuff, workers' comp stuff, benefits stuff, payroll stuff, invoices, all of that. Have that on a list of documents that you need. And then say, just want to set a meeting to review and collect those documents and also to complete the discovery document. Most importantly, I want to just tell you, okay, they say no to the documents. They're really saying no to you. If they're being slow to get you documents, I can tell you that's where 89.63% of all deals go south, is in this stage. So you want to make sure that you have a very, very confirmed meeting and time that they will have these documents ready for you to come pick up. And by the way, don't wait for them to email them. Okay? Don't leave that meeting not having a meeting scheduled to be able to come back, get the documents, get your underwriting document completed, and also do an HR cost analysis, building the financial business case. Okay? Lesson 21, gain consensus. all decision makers, influencers involved in HR, risk management, benefits, payroll, they must be in the discovery process. If you leave the person that handles HR out of this discussion, they're going to be thinking that you talked about them behind their back. They're going to be disenfranchised, and they're not going to be motivated to meet with you after the fact. You need to engage with everybody that's doing all of this stuff as early on in the process as you possibly can. And gaining that consensus of all those decision makers also means once we finish discovery, to say, I want to make sure that I have enough proposals. Is there going to be anyone else involved in this decision? Because if there's somebody else that's going to be involved in this decision, you need to know that, and you need to have a conversation with them before proposal. So you gain consensus there. Lesson 22, you're going to be in competition. I'm in competition a lot. Why? The reason why I'm in competition is because I'm usually called in because an advisor found out that their mutual client was having a conversation with a PEO person and it didn't go well, or an HR outsourcing, it didn't go well. I can't tell you the number of times that that's happened. So what we want to do is you have to find out the names of any competitors. Find out, I had a situation a number of years ago, the company had met with 4 different PEOs, and I was brought in by their wealth manager. I'm like, why in the world, you've met with 4 different companies, why haven't you pulled the trigger on this yet? And the guy said, I just feel like I'm being sold. And we talked about that. And then what the question that you want to ask though is what was your criteria for determining who you would meet with and talk about a proposal? Okay? What you're going to find out is very few have any sort of criteria. But the follow-up to that is let's just say that all the proposals are in the ballpark financially. What's your criteria for making this decision? If you're in competition, you need to ask criteria for determining who they would allow to propose and ask criteria about how they're going to go through the decision-making process. You're going to find out 99% of the time there's no criteria. We want to help them in this process. Lesson 23. You'll go broke quoting clients in an existing PEO relationship. There is a lie out there that is promulgated by, if they're in a PEO relationship, it's an easier sale. Well, if you're looking for the easier sale, my friends, get out of this business now, because this ain't an easy sale. And just because somebody's in a current PEO relationship doesn't mean that they're going to be easier to sell. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to be harder. They may understand it better, but that's your job. Your job is to help them to understand it. But the other side of it is when you're dealing with an existing PEO relationship, what you want to just quote everything, which by the way, I hope you know by now, quoting is a word that I hate. Okay? You need to ask them, have you made up your mind you're making a change? And if they say yes, great. Happy to have this conversation. Let's talk about what's going wrong, what do you need, what this is costing you outside of their invoice. And also, we want to ask for a copy of their client service agreement and all the addendums. That's going to tell us all their pricing and everything. They probably have forgotten about that even being a part of the CSA. Maybe they haven't, but we need to find out what it's costing them or what they're being charged. Lesson 24, build the financial business case. Again, we have a whole course on building the financial business case. And I had a conversation with a salesperson just the other day, and I said, I don't use that HR cost analysis if it's less than 20 employees. I'm like, I don't care if it's 3 employees, 33 employees, 333 employees, or 3,333 employees. If you don't use the HR cost analysis, they have costs for doing this stuff in-house, okay? Building the financial business case, it makes so much sense. It makes you ask questions that you might not otherwise ask. And it helps you to build that financial business case and help them to understand all this time that they're spending, all right, doesn't return them anything. But they can still have that person doing things that actually makes money for the company, and we take over all of the other stuff. Build the financial business case on every case. Lesson 25. I'm going to step on some toes here. But if if second page of your proposal, past your title page, your cover sheet, is your thank you letter from the CEO or the VP of sales or the salesperson saying, thank you for giving us the opportunity to provide you with this proposal and analysis. Okay? Second page of your proposal needs to be everything that they said in the discovery meeting was a problem, a goal, a need, a want, an issue. All of that needs to be in there. Okay? You want to restate all of those in the second page of your proposal. Hopefully it'll be page 2 and page 3, maybe even page 4, if you have a large case that has a whole lot of stuff going on. Lesson 26, delete closing from your vocabulary. Yes, if you look at the U material, okay, it says we have a course on closing the sale. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, because it says we're no longer closing, we're gaining the client relationship. All right? It's because so many people think that closing is the big thing. Let me tell you something. If the deal ain't closed before you get there, you're going to have an uphill battle. And we build that business case, we build that financial business case, and they ask us to take them on as a client, not close them. Closing is all about ego. Get your ego out of the sales process, okay? I came from ego for a very long time, my friends. I don't come from ego in any place in my life. Get closing out of your vocabulary. It's about gaining the client relationship. Lesson 27. You want the ultimate home turf? Bring them to your office. Get the client to come to your office. Of course, you want to. We hold all of our proposal meetings at our office. You're going to want to meet the people that will be handling your account, see our facility, see how we take care of you. You can talk to the folks that will be working with you. This is the best time to do that, and that's the proposal. And you can even be strong with it and say, because the confidentialness of what we're talking about, we like to present all of our proposals in the confines of our office. Have you got nice offices? Okay. Now, I office out of my house. All right. No, I don't bring people here when I do the proposal. All right. I meet them at the HQ. All right. So it's important. If you want the ultimate home turf, bring them to your office. Can't get them to come to your office? Bring the office to them. Bring the appropriate people to them. All right. If they're a CPA firm, you don't need to bring your risk management folks. Okay. You bring your technology people, bring your benefits people, bring your HR people. Deploy the right resources at the right time. So I think it's time for another break. Again, I don't want to overload your brain. I want you to stay engaged in this process. These lessons are too crucial for you, so you don't have to be desperate to sell. You're hungry to serve. I'll see you on the next course.